Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. With all the talk that's been going on about the increase in interest in homeschooling because of everything that is happening in the schools right now, I think it's really important to first of all say that I agree. I applaud parents who are taking their kids out of school because they see the indoctrination that is going on. They see that the education is below par and they just feel that their kids are not in a safe environment when they are there. So for that, yes, I applaud you. But I want to point out one very, very important thing. Homeschooling is about so much more than education. The first thing that people usually think of about homeschooling is about education. And of course, why wouldn't it be? Because yeah, education is the primary purpose of the homeschooling way of life. But what I wanted to talk about today is that it is not the only thing that is important about homeschooling. It is not, I would even say, the most important thing about homeschooling. There is so much more to homeschooling than just education. And first of all, the very first thing that I want to talk to you about is that homeschooling enables you to take your children back. It enables you to take your children back from a system who really doesn't care about them. It's a system that cares more about a means to an end, but not about the individual child. It takes your children back from feeling like their family is secondary to everything else that happens in the world. Too often we see that, schools are the center of a kid's life. I mean, really, what's the first thing when you meet a new child or when someone else meets your kids? What is very often the first thing that they will say? Hi, what grade are you in? What school do you go to? Those are like the first two questions that everyone asks a child, and that's because school has honestly become the center of so many children's lives instead of their family. Homeschooling allows you to make your family the center of everything again. Now, I'm going to talk more about Christianity and how, yes, God is the center of everything. But even if you are not a believer, taking back your children does put your family first, before the school system, before their friends. That's something else that happens a lot. A lot of kids will start putting all of their friends before their family. And unfortunately, it's a side effect of families who just aren't with each other very often. So, it gives you a time to focus on your family. It gives you a time to instill the morals that are important to you into your children. There are just so many crazy things being taught in school nowadays, things that are really very opposite of what a lot of parents want to teach to their children. A lot of parents don't even know that the stuff that is being taught to their children is being taught to them. Thankfully, with all of the tweets that I talked about the other day and how a lot of these teachers are actually coming out and saying publicly what it is that they're trying to do at school, which is to indoctrinate. Parents are finally waking up and they're realizing that, maybe I shouldn't have been so complacent about keeping my kids in that system. It's also about keeping your children safe from bullies, safe from the indoctrination that I was telling you about, and yeah, safe from teacher predators. The statistics are staggering for the number of children who will be somehow abused or assaulted by a teacher while they are in school. If I'm not mistaken, and I'll leave a link in the description box for an article about this, I'm pretty sure that it was 1 in 10 students, and that is horrifying. So homeschooling is, again, not just about education, it's about family, it's about instilling morals, it's about keeping your children safe. And now is the part where I'm going, did I say faith or safe? I'm like forward thinking, I'm thinking ahead. But now is the time that I'm going to start talking about your faith. Because when your kids are in school, that takes not only a back burner, they want to kick it out completely. And I'm going to tell you something. A school without God is a school that is denying God. Are you willing to keep your kids in a system that is denying the creator of all things, the one who breathed life into you? Are you going to allow your children into a school system that denies the very person, Jesus, who is going to save them from their sins? Are you okay with these things? I think that a lot of times we will talk about how, oh, well, they're just neutral about that, so they don't mention it. They're not neutral. They're pretty insistent about, they will talk about other religions. They will even do things like yoga and mindfulness and meditation in school. They actually have curriculum on that, and that has roots in Eastern mysticism. So that is following a religion. So they will bring all of these religions into the school system, but Christianity, they want nothing to do with it, and it is because they are openly hostile to it. Are you willing to have that happen to your children? I think that a lot of people recently who have been coming into homeschooling, and actually it's probably been like this now for several years, people are finally starting to feel that we want to return to our roots of what the family was like before compulsory schooling. A time when families were together, a time when communities worked together. And by community, I don't mean school system. I don't mean government employees coming in and telling you what you have to do with your kids. I'm talking about neighbors. I'm talking about friends. I'm talking about people who live in neighboring towns coming in and maybe working together on different projects. We need to go back to those times, and we need to get away from a time that has us bound so strongly to a governmental system that the more we cling to it, the more it's going to expect from us, and the more rights are going to be taken away from us. We need to go back to a time when siblings grew up together. How often are siblings just completely torn apart throughout the day? You know, they're not with each other all day long, and then a lot of times after school, even if you're not going to all of these different programs and extracurricular activities, they want to be with their friends. So by the end of the day, you have kids in the same house, by now tired, probably irritated from the long day, maybe fighting over who gets mom's help with their homework, and they're going to be bickering with each other. And I'm not going to say that homeschooled kids never bicker with one another. My kids do that all the time. But what I have noticed, though, is that when my kids were in school and they were not together all the time, the bickering never ended. There was no bond between them because they never had time to create that bond that siblings once had. So yeah, while my kids might argue back and forth every once in a while, I still can watch them going to the park together, going swimming together, going for bike rides together, sitting and playing dolls together, having an older sister make paper dolls for a younger sister. These are all things that I didn't really get to witness when my kids were in school because, again, they just didn't have the closeness because they were never around each other. And, you know, going back to our roots is also about children learning responsibility by what? By helping around the house, by doing chores. I have talked to so many parents nowadays who haven't even thought of giving their kids chores, and they just think of, well, it's easier for me to do it myself. Kids need to learn responsibility. They need to learn that you as a family are a team, and you are all living in a house together, and you can all pitch in and do things together. Homeschooling is a perfect opportunity for that because your kids are already in the house. They're not away all day long. They are seeing you day by day what has to get done. They're seeing how to do things, and they can shadow you as you do all of these things. Is it going to be perfect? No. Are your kids always going to happily do their chores? No. I can be transparent about this. After I'm done recording this video, I actually have to have a family meeting with my kids because they have not been doing their chores properly lately. So yeah, there are kinks that you have to work out, and kids are going to be kids. They're not always going to want to do the things that are expected of them. But when you actually do tell them that you expect these things of them, they are learning that they can be trusted, that you as the adult are trusting them to do things. And that's something that I think we kind of let go of when our kids are gone in school all day. And because by the time that they come home and go through all the things that they do, it's nighttime. They just don't have that time to learn responsibility, and they don't have that time to learn about actual life skills that are going to be helping them. So really, homeschooling, besides education, which again is obvious, it's about keeping our children out of the clutches of people who, again, don't want what's best for them. They see your children kind of as cogs in a machine. They see what they want our society to look like, and they just see each child not as an individual, but they see them almost as a hive that has to work together and do certain things in order for this utopian society that so many people nowadays are looking forward to. That's what they want your kids for. They want to train your kids to do what the government wants them to do. They want to knock the individuality out of them. I can't talk. And homeschooling is a great way for you to help them get that back. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram because YouTube disables my comments. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.